proceedings. I'm going
This
to.
meeting is being recorded.
What did you hear about me?
I hear you're a bit of a director on all of this, and so I'm going to cue off.
Can you hear me okay? I'm not sure. I thought they shut down the audio, so I couldn't say anything.
I can hear you excellently.
You can hear me now.
Oh, you can see my thumb down here.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna call this meeting of the Homebrew Robotics Club April 2025 to order. Here we are. This is George Ekas. I get that right?
Yes, you did. You know.
I have to be careful I don't say your name backwards because your dad used to come to the HBRC, and he's Saki Robotics, right?
I named that company, but yes,
Fascinating.
it's our last name backwards. So if you ever want like a plastic robotic hand, we sell those. But that's unrelated to Toborlife.
Well, no, that actually fits with Tobar too.
It does work. They are universal. So.
Well, Tobar's robot backwards.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I called the meeting to order. And is Greg standing up? Is that what's happening?
I'm going to stand him up. Everybody, this part's interesting. He doesn't need my help, but he's expensive enough that he likes my help. Here he is.
Are you not entertained?
He has a few base arm movements programmed in. Over time, he's going to have a whole lot of different functions on. But for now, you guys get the base programs. And just walk him around so you can see how it moves. This one's kind of fun. I like this one. A little sassy, if you ask me. Would you like to shake his hand? He doesn't have that. But that's close, right? That's pretty good. He'll get the knuckles someday too.
Hey, George, we normally have an order of events that we go through with the robot news and the club news and stuff like that, and then we'll do the presentation. Okay?
That sounds good. He'll hang out.
That sounds good. All right, very fine. Thank you very much. Let's start off with industry news. Does anybody have any specific industry news they'd like to talk about? Kyung, you may need to relay for me.
Loud but not clear.
Industry news. Industry news.
Well, it's not exactly industry news, but on the cover of Make Magazine, it's robotics issue, and they were our neighbor for the Maker Faire. We had a humanoid block at the Maker Faire, like a group of humanoids. So that was cool. And inside it says how to train your robot. So there's a couple of interesting articles, including, I think, one that Thomas shared on the group chat, which is the inverse kinematics. So, and it has the InMove, I had mentioned before, the the silicon face. So it has an interview from the InMove guy with pictures of the silicon face in Make Magazine and some background information. Apparently, he uses AI to create the motor motions for the face with the silicon, like different expressions there. So that's interesting.
Who is that?
That's the InMove, Gail Langdevin. When he came up with the new silicon face for the InMoves. And then the one on the cover is American. Someone else. Maybe Michael Brady. Yeah, Michael Brady. All right. So we were neighbors, and he's like, he started with the in move, but he wanted to do it maybe differently and easier to make. So he basically branched off into his own build of in move. So that's what's on the cover. His own build of a humanoid.
That's awesome. I think it was AJ. I put a link in the chat here, put a post in. I think it was something about job security or something. But anyways, it's about humanoid robots and Elon Musk and his Optimus robots in particular. I thought that was a great video. He's making it. He's got 22 degrees of freedom in the hands, and he's made the
Really?
fingers like the actual size of human fingers with the small pinky and thumb and all that kind of stuff. But he's really particular about the and looking to manufacture. He talks, but mass production like next year. So it's pretty exciting. He's using the computer from the Tesla car. I think they call it Pilot or something. But he's using that compute for the robot.
Yeah, on this one, he's mentioning that he's using onboard AI using Raspberry Pi or Jetson Orion Nano for this one. So interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. What else? Do we have any other industry news out there? I picked up, there was looks like there was a humanoid robot half marathon in China. Here's the link in the chat. And let me share my screen. So the audio is not good, right?
Okay, passable.
Thank you. So I think the top robot was like 2 hours, 40 minutes. It's a half marathon, like 13 miles. We had done well out there. Some of them were definitely homebrewed. I won't linger too long on this, but I put the link in the chat, and you'll be able to get the chat in the YouTube link when we post it. Cool. Give me a break. We don't need to do this. Yeah. Okay. So this is the robot that won. Like I say, 2 hours and 40 minutes. I'd love to see a robot marathon in the U.S. That would be awesome. Nah, we don't have time for this. Let me just stop that. What else? Any more robot news? Any more industry news out there? All right, let's move on to club news now.
We have a speaker here. Hi guys, can everyone hear me okay? I know in person it's good, but is the audio for virtual good? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay, I think I got a thumbs up here. Okay, so nice to meet everyone. My name is Josh Sirota. In industry news, there is an effort that's happening within the DoD on the defense side. There was a former project called Project Talos that had about 40 different primes and university efforts. And the focus was to help augment our defense capabilities through exoskeletons, which has been a dream for defense and for many, I think, for a very long time. And that project started in 2014. It ultimately concluded after $80 million of funding in 2018. But there is a group within SOCOM, which is our Special Operations Command, that is very interested in making an attempt again at this with modern advancements in batteries and other pieces of software. So Just throwing that out there for the group. If that's anything that anyone's interested in learning about more or in discussing, I'll post my contact info or anything and happy to chat more about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other industry news this evening?
Yes, not run, but well, not can run, presumably for that amount of time, but not today.
Okay.
Damn it.
That's a drain on a battery.
Yeah, I would think so too. So that's very impressive. I wonder what they're working with. But this is a 2 to 4 hour battery life depending on the use case. So I believe that it could run at its full speed for at the minimum 2 hours. So that's pretty good. It's not hot swappable, but it doesn't take that long to put a new one in either.
You don't want to overheat the motors.
We found that out the hard way before.
All right, any more industry news out there? Let's move on to club news. We had our botnik. Who's going to talk about the botnik? I got pictures. Hello.
Hey, it's Tony, aka the judge of
Hey,
the event. So yeah, the Botnik was awesome. We had 3 robots run the course. We set up in a park near here in Sunnyvale, and we had a bunch of people come out and do stuff. We had 3 robots. We also had some spectators, some of which were people that found the event online. Others were walk-ins. And Nathan Lewis ran the course successfully 3 times, touched all of the cones, and was our winner in terms of times. Our second place was Survey, who got to the final cone, and twice, and also Marco ran. So that was cool.
Marco programmed his robots to avoid the cone, didn't he?
I'm not an expert on who programmed the
That's
robots to
what
do
you said.
I was just running around with the stopwatch the whole time. which is now actually a workout. Like that's actually a good way to get people running is to have them judge the rope Magellan contest because they'll have to chase after these things.
Your watch liked it, huh? There's Nathan and Kybernetes. It's Indecker. Kybernetes touching the cone, taunting Indecker. You guys can see these pictures, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Endecker and Marco. Here's Tony. All right, that's a good deal. I think that's it. The beauty shot there. I think I've got a video of Kybernetes. This may be choppy, but I think it had a really interesting effect to it once it got going. I got a 360-degree camera. You can still see my screen, right?
Yeah. I think this wasn't one of the official competition runs because we took the 360 camera off because it was tipping the robot over.
Okay. But this one I thought had an interesting effect once it got going. It looked surreal. I think it may be like the frequency of the camera.
Getting like 1 frame a 3 seconds.
But this looks so simulated. It looks like the robot's superimposed on the grass.
Yeah, and one of
Yep.
the things you can see also is that the cone kind of looks really weird compared to the surroundings. That's because those cones, I believe, are fluorescent. That's one of the surprising things you learn in Rope Magellan is that cones, like there's a whole school of construction of traffic cones. They're anomalous objects.
I'll put this link in the chat. And again, you'll be able to get to the chat when we post the video in YouTube. All right. What else? Any
I have
more
something I'd
club
like to
news?
ask the group. So one thing I think
Go ahead.
might be yeah, can you hear me? One thing I think might be a good idea, I'd like us as a club to clarify that we're a family-friendly event. I think it'd be a good idea for us just to do that on our website and just clarify, because HBRC has always been a family-friendly event, and I think it's really important for young people to be able to attend this event. So I was just thinking it'd be a good idea just to put that as a policy on our website. Maybe something to the effect of, don't do anything you wouldn't want your, 10-year-old relative to see. Just my thoughts.
Is there something in particular that's
No, nothing that concerned me, but I think it'd be a cool thing just to post on our just to clarify.
come to the business meeting? We meet the first Wednesday every month, and let's talk about it there. Okay.
All right, I'll try to swing that.
Okay, and I mean, kind of like I don't know of anything that's really over the line, that we've done. What's you watch TV, you watch a PG-13 TV, which is considered family friendly, right?
I mean,
PG-13.
yeah, totally.
PG-13 is considered family friendly, right? And I listen to some of it and I go, my word, But anyways, come to the business meeting. That would be the proper way to talk about this. Present it as a motion. We vote on it, and then we add whatever you want to add to the website, and we can do that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. What else? What else? Club news this evening.
Hello, good evening. So the call for makers for the Bay Area Makers Fair is open. Is there interest in trying to get a spot again? So just something to think about.
When is Baker Fair?
I don't know about the deadline. The Maker Fair is end of September, I think 26th or something like that of September. It's earlier than the last 2 years.
Okay. So there's a call for makers.
Yes.
Okay. And we need to decide whether or not we want to participate, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Marco, I nominate you to head up this endeavor. And I'll be bugging you. Okay. And so folks that want to participate with the Homebrew Robotics Club at Maker Fair, you need to be a member in good standing. But contact Marco there, and we'll be talking about it on the mailing list. Everybody knows where the mailing list is, right? Go to the Homebrew Robotics Club website in the upper right-hand corner. There's join our mailing list. It's a Google group. Okay. And if you have robot questions, we're the best group in the world to post those questions to. Okay. Any other club news this evening? Let me announce something. This is that presentations is everybody's business, not just mine and Steven's. Okay. So if you want to give a presentation or know of someone who would be good for a presentation, don't book the presentation. Just ask if they'd be interested or willing to give a presentation, and then get in touch with Stephen or I. And we need a presenter for next month, is what I'm trying to say. And so presentations is not just Stephen's job. it's everybody's job. So yeah, let's actively pursue interesting presenters in Silicon Valley. And if you've got something that you've been hankering to give a presentation yourself, Chris, I think you do one more machine intelligence presentation, aren't you?
I think I'm all done with those.
Are you done with those? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we may need a review. I'm sure
I
things
could
have changed.
revive the one I did a few years ago.
There we go. That was a classic. All right, Chris Mayer with the AI taught itself to walk, right?
And it
Isn't that
taught
what?
itself to do the tabletop challenge.
Okay, very fine. And was that using the Mott's applesauce container, the Mott bot?
Yes, it was.
Classic. Oh, okay. Okay, it all comes together now. Very good. Okay, any more club news out there? Moving into what I need help with. Does anybody need help with something in specific, a specific question, or I don't know, if had some kind of breakthrough lately they want to share? Robotics. All right.
Hey, hi, this is Alan. I've been, everyone's been struggling with getting the cameras to work with the Raspberry Pi 5. And I find now that it's gotten a lot easier. You used to have to build lib camera from scratch. Now you can just do a ROS update on CameraOS. It'll install Jazzy lab camera, and the cameras start working on the Raspberry Pi 5. So you don't have to go through all that pain and misery to get it to work.
And I know you've been through a lot of pain and misery on cameras.
Yeah.
I feel your pain.
So it just, well, eventually people have caught up with getting it to work right. Marco also spent a lot of time getting it to work, but now it's a lot easier.
Is it because it's just Debian now?
I don't know what exactly happened. I think Raspberry Pi, well, the problem was with the cameras, they changed the interface hardware on the Raspberry Pi 5. It's a different chip. So, but now it's all working. Raspberry Pi 4, Raspberry Pi 5, it's the same installation and the cameras work. You just have to get the right overlay for that particular camera to get it to work right.
And I may be stating the obvious, but there was some kind of update in there that fixed it, you presume, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly which update it was.
Sure.
It's working now. It works now easily.
The news is that we're talking the RAS. They were talking the PiCam, right?
The PiCam on the Raspberry Pi 5.
Very good. Okay. All right. Okay. So now let's move to the. Thank you very much, Alan. Let's move to the best part of the meeting here. Let's go to show and tell. We're going to show and tells this evening. Stephen, is that you?
Me?
Yeah.
Am I on? Oh, I didn't know I had the whole thing unmuted. Sorry, buddy.
Are you ready to roll?
My chickens were choking. Yeah, I can if you want.
Entertain us.
Okay, well, I've been working on this little project called Touch Sensitive Banana Chicken Choking Organ. Basically, what this will have is 8 bananas that are set up as capacitive touch, like the touch screen on your phone. It also has, I don't know how many buttons I got, 16 buttons that I can use. And what the goal is to be able to touch your banana and choke the chicken. And it will play, or it will make them squeak anyways. And so I put together quite a few chickens now. I got 8 of them here, and they have these little robotic claws on them. And each one of these chickens will react when you either choke it or unchoke it. Yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen.
That appears to be they're different size chicken, different
Yes,
octaves.
I have different size chickens and different tone. And see where we, these ones work when you release them, so they're already pre-choked. But I have other kinds of chickens that, well, this one also works when you release it, but then there's some that work when you squeeze it. So there's different versions. I actually started with these little ones, and then I found these bigger ones at Walmart, and I was like, ooh, bigger, better. I've been working on getting that to work with the Arduino and a thing called a servo control board, which is this cute little board right here that allows you to control up to 16 servos using the I2C library or protocol. So you only need 2 wires to talk to this thing, which is cool. It doesn't use up all your Arduino pins. And you can actually link these together, and I don't even know how many. I think at least up to 64 servos. So anyways, and then there'll be a rhythm section that uses what I call pokeable pigs. And these will basically be playing the time frame for music, like 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. And then that's not all. The Arduino is also connected to a Bluetooth modem, and it will talk to everything fell on the floor. An application that I made or that I'm working on for the Android phone. And all these keys actually play MP3 files that are the correct tones for C4 all the way to C5, and basically an octave of real sound like a piano. There'll be a bunch of other buttons on here to play things. I'll probably play like sound clips and all kinds of stuff off the internet because I do that a lot. I like doing that. And what I found today is you can play music and play along to them, so you can choke along to your favorite song. And so far, it's been quite a bit of fun. I just spent a few panic minutes because I think I fried a servo control board somehow when I had all this junk piled on top of each other. But I just got it working again. This is just a little project that just came to my mind in the middle of the night, and having fun with it so far.
We got a demo?
There's actually a video, and I explain it, and I don't know if you can hear these things. Can you hear them?
Nah,
I'm not hearing them.
It's filtered out.
No? That's weird.
It's because Zoom filters out sounds.
Oh, it does? Well, I can't fix Zoom. There is a video, and I'll put that in the chat if you want to watch it. I just made a video today that kind of explains exactly what I just explained. And anyways, this is
right now when you're hitting it, it's playing music that's being filtered out because it's copyrighted. Is that what I'm understanding?
No, I just said Zoom filters out like things that thinks are noise that aren't people talking. It's been a problem for a lot of meetings.
Can you hear that guy?
If you talk while it's squeaking, you might be able to hear both the talking and
Actually, I've got your video here.
Okay, well, I have 8 of the chickens mounted.
I got your video here, right here.
And their actuators mounted, and now they're actually working.
Can you hear that? Can you hear that?
You can do multiple at a time.
I can hear
You
it
can do
now.
a quick.
Are you hearing it?
You can do a
We can
long.
hear.
Yeah,
This
we can
is
hear.
hilarious. I love
Depending
it.
on what you release them, is how long they'll keep making sound. They're talking to an Arduino, or the buttons talk to Arduino and control the robotic actuators for the chickens. And then also, in this pile of happiness down here is an Arduino and a Bluetooth modem and a servo control board.
Steve,
Yeah.
put that YouTube link in the chat so folks can review it on their own time, okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right, thank you very much. Any other demos this evening? I've got one real quick. I think I'm still sharing my screen here. Oh, there I am. Let me try and get relocalized real quick. They're laughing. They're laughing. Hang on a second here. All right, all right. Shoot. Let's see here. Yeah, you got to love live demos.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is Jim Burnham. I haven't been to the meetings for a long time, and so I just was joking that I'd never seen this before.
You're a funny guy. Okay, so here I am. I'll set my pose. Let's see here. And that's not right. I must be here. That's more like it. And let's try and go here. This is Smarty 2, by the way, and he's got a new tabletop. Let's see if I can make it to the end here. All right. So there's his new hat. It's more like a sombrero. This is the Smart Table project. It's part of the mockers. There's a group of us who are making mock turtle bots. Alan, Ross, Phil, and Thomas, and me. I'm going to reset the pose here. But anyways, yeah, if you're interested in this project, let us know, and we're having some fun with it. Anyways, I'm gonna go to this corner. I'm gonna drive in. What? Was that a smart aleck comment I heard? All right, this isn't going to be much longer. It's no longer amusing. All right, so there's the robot localized, and one last time he's going to navigate into the lounge here. Running a recovery routine here. This is the navigation stack. Going into the lounge. And goal succeeded. So that's the mock bot there. All right. Any other show and tell this evening?
Yeah, I got a little project I'm working on I can show.
Go for it, Chris.
Disabled share screen. Can you fix that?
Screen share enabled.
Okay. Oh, there we go. This is just a little project. Can y'all see that? I wanted to see what I could do with the simple Arduino Nano and a couple of sensors. And so far, I got this little box doing about 60 different things all on one sketch. It's
You're
got
not seeing the screen yet.
It's black.
I'm sharing my screen. I'm
Yeah.
going to stop.
Yeah, stop and load it back one more time.
Oh,
Screen share, screen one share.
oh, there we
There it
go.
is.
Yeah, it's got a 7-segment display, some LEDs and some buttons, and I added a ping sensor and an IMU. And it can do a lot of things. For example, with just the display, I can flip coins, roll dice, get random numbers and passwords. I can do anything with time, set alarms, stopwatch, timers. And with the ping sensor, I can measure your speed and I can measure distance to things. There's an infrared, LED, and photo diode, so I can actually play back signals to control my television or any IR controllable object. It's got a little speaker so I can play songs and do some little mini speech synthesis. And it's really cool. Every time I can think of something, I can just add it. I wrote a real quick RTOS for the Arduino Nano so I can add multiple sketches and have them all in the same Arduino and cycle between them without having to reflash it. So it's just a fun little project.
That's cool.
What's an RTOS?
I'm sorry, any questions?
What is an RTOS?
Real-time operating system.
Oh,
Usually an Arduino only allows you to upload a single sketch. And I realize I've got 60 different sketches for each function. For example, the timer versus the random number generator. And I came up with a way to put all of those sketches together and have a quick operating system that you can cycle through all the programs that you load and run the one that you want.
Usually an Arduino doesn't even have an operating system.
oh,
Exactly.
cool.
So one of the cool side effects of this project.
Very cool. All right. Any other show and tells this evening? Thank you, Chris. That's awesome. What are you calling that?
I'm calling it the Swiss Duino, like the Swiss Army knife.
I love it. That's awesome. Swiss Zena. Okay, that's cool. Anything else for show and tell this evening? All right. Without any further ado, let's turn the meeting over to George Ekas, right? Did I get that right, George?
That is correct, George Ekas.
With Toborlife, Tobar's robot backwards. Go ahead, George.
This is the Unitree G1 humanoid robot. It is made by Unitree in China, and we at Toborlife are the master distributor for the Unitree in North America. And this is a really cool robot. We've been getting to start working on it. It's a new model. It's been out about half a year, and it's a pleasure to get to show you guys it today. It's really fun to play around with. There's not a lot of extravagant hand motions I'll be able to show you today. We're working on that. We're doing secondary development at Toborlife, and so eventually we'd like to incorporate manipulation, various gestures, and all the fun features that you can fit into some sort of Linux machine on top of this. So that's our goal with it. And you'll be very familiar with how it sees. It's a RealSense D435i, surprise, surprise. You make robots, you know that camera's in every robot ever. And this is a radial LiDAR, but it has a field of view. It's not a planar LiDAR. It actually does a 360 degrees, but has a field of view on it. And so they've managed to do some pretty cool things with the games they also make, the quadrupeds. Their navigation stack I've seen it be able to navigate around obstacles in ways that a planar LiDAR wouldn't be enabled to, or like a four-wheel differential drive robot couldn't. They can crouch and navigate around things if they're too tall or too short. And so there's just a lot of potential in the platform for interesting navigation capabilities in terms of the quadrupeds. In terms of the humanoid, I expect it to eventually get to all of those things. Today, you just get to see me move it around with a remote control, so I know that might not be super exciting, but treat it like it's a brand new state-of-the-art hardware platform, and it's a very cool thing. Here's some examples of it moving its arms. These are the things that come pre-canned in their firmware. I have not put these on myself, but I'm working on something with a little move it to at first, eventually reinforcement learning. I really like this one. It shows the waist movement. Now, if I did that, back would break, so pretty nice. Yeah, he's a very, very cool hardware platform for long-term development, and lots of cool things coming out to support the development of these guys. As you guys probably know, NVIDIA has been developing special chips for robotics, as well as I think they have a software team working on infrastructure such as VLA, vision language action models, which should be able to identify things within an environment, recognize what they are, and determine what actionable things can be done with that. And so clearly that's a step along the decision-making process for robots to be able to integrate themselves in more generalized tasks. And we're working to also integrate some level of manipulation on top of that. This guy's the basic model, so he doesn't have dexterous hands. He just has these injection molded ones, but the ultimate models come with dexterous hands. There's 4 different dexterous hand models that you can get from Unitree. There's a 3-finger one and a 3-finger one with 7 touch sensors. And then there's a 5-finger one. And if I do my math correctly, there are 11 touch sensors on the one that comes with touch sensors. You can get them with or without the touch. And the thumb is articulating as well. So the 3-finger hands have 7 degrees of freedom, 2 joints per finger, and then a 3rd rotating joint per thumb. And it's very cool, well-made hands. Yeah, that's this guy. And then the ultimates have the 17 tactile. That's very cool. I clearly got to read up on that, but very nice.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So what kind of development platform does the basic come with? Like
The basic you can't develop on top of.
But you said you are doing things on it.
Yeah, this is just the basic. I just operate with this. I show you guys cool things with its control system, like how it can mostly balance itself.
Don't they have Chat GPT for the basic now?
Yeah, they have some sort of voice thing. I have not had time to set up the voice thing. I don't. You call it Ben. It's the Unitree preloaded LLM setup on it, and that comes with the basic. And you're supposed to be able to tell it what to do. I have not set this up because I am the one-man development team for Tobor right now, and so I have to put out some fires and pick my time slots wisely. But over time, hopefully I'll get to bring this back to you guys at some point with some more cool things on it. But with the EDU Ultimate, we're looking to implement some of our own software stack. Hopefully we'll get our own LLM interactions so that you could presumably communicate with the robot, tell it to do things. I'd like to eventually implement some sort of fleet management, which you can interact with at a verbal level. I've personally invested into that before I even worked with Toborlife, and that's something that I think is really compelling, is how do you bring fleets of robots into untrained settings. And I think the LLMs just open the door for that in a big way. And so those are just some thoughts about where this robot's going and what's in our head at Toborlife. And I'm happy to answer any and all questions.
Hi, my name's Kunal. It's first time at this club. We've seen a lot of robotics companies developing humanoids for the home, and sort of the most common use cases they cite are laundry, dishes, very benign kind of tasks, low frequency and not big time consuming tasks in the first place. Where do you see the eventual business case for humanoids in the home going, and what the use cases will be like?
Are you asking in the context of the home or in larger business scale?
In the home is where I've heard a lot of companies doing development for, so maybe in the home, but also elsewhere. Where do you see this really going?
So let's start within the home, because the thing about humanoids that's so cool is the form factor of the world we live in is built around humans. And so naturally there's a space for there to be automation that is in the form factor of a human, because a human is the form factor which everything's built for. And so that's where a humanoid robot comes in. And so when you think about humanoids in a home, there's some serious challenging technical difficulties that we're trying to overcome there. If you've been in robotics long enough, you've no doubt heard the consensus that folding clothes is a very challenging problem. And soft object manipulation is actually reaching new levels of capability. And now it's not taking whatever shirt you have and making it look like your mom folded it for you, right? But they are coming a long way in soft body manipulation. And so when you think about how that applies to the home, okay, it's folding clothes. But when you see how it applies to the rest of the world, soft bodies exist in many capacities throughout the world. And granted, there are a lot in clothing and clothes production. But I would presume that the progress made in soft body manipulation in the homes will reach out and be progress in soft body manipulation in the rest of the world. Granted, I don't have a great ideation of where soft bodies are manipulated here and there and everywhere. I should have prepared for that thought process. But when you look at the progress that's made in the home areas that these companies are targeting, it is nice that it's infrequent now, because a lot of these robots they're not manufacturing robots that go super fast, and they're not a Scala arm, taking the thing and going as fast as possible with the precision of the gods, right? That's a Scala arm. But when you see these robots being developed for the home, you see things like dexterous manipulation, soft body manipulation. These things are being put in the sights of capable people, and they're developing in that direction. And that should excite robot enthusiasts, because it might not be here today, but those objectives are the objectives of tomorrow for roboticists. And it's coming faster in some ways than a lot of people thought. I know that I've always been a little conservative in my estimates of robotic capabilities long term, and it's been impressive to me to see some of these challenges get tackled, especially with the focus on humanoids lately.
Just a quick follow-up. Does that imply then that all the work going into deploying these for the home is more of a hype building exercise to get more people interested in the field and get more research, accomplished in these kind of tasks?
I wouldn't personally put it like that. I believe that I think for manufacturing settings, it wouldn't be my first choice to use a humanoid, because what you have in an assembly line, if you look at what a human does in an assembly line, it's the same task over and over again, right? If you design a robot to do the same task over and over again, are you going to put it on the most flexible robot you can, or are you going to design a robot specifically for that task? A Scala arm for moving things back and forth, or one of those automobile industry arms, or like a robot that moves things around. You don't necessarily target a humanoid for a less flexible task. And so I think that humanoids are being targeted for the home because they're a more flexible platform without a need for complete optimization. Instead, they're looking at a broader array of capabilities. And so that's my personal belief at why those companies are targeting the home market. I think it's because that's a place where flexibility is valuable.
Cool. Thank you.
I'll go ahead. So when I looked at the Boston Dynamics spot, right? So the very common use case which they could actually handle was security, routes and all that. Do you see any of these like HomeDoc Pro or G1 Basic that can do it today?
We are actively working on that, and if not today, we're getting close
But
on
it's
that.
not
That's-
built into it right now, right? I can't buy one of these and just let it roam around in a human environment today, unless you build on it.
No, we're working on that, but again, as Toborlife, we're a young company, so we're developing secondary capabilities like that, and we're aiming at that one particularly because it is the low hanging fruit, and we do want to be economically viable as a company. So we're running towards that goal, and our goal is maybe this time next year, you being able to ask me that question, me just saying yes instead of this whole spiel. But that's something that is in our sights.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Because of the tariffs, the cost of that just went up 200%. How do you deal with that?
Not my favorite question, but I'm here. We have a special relationship with Unitree that we're trying to leverage to overcome some of those, and we're trying to be optimistic. So, with a little luck and
I don't even think you could get an Optimus or a Atlas at any price today.
it's a pretty good answer.
If you want one today,
Mind.
Alan, how many do you want?
Or don't get, you're going to get me started
I'm
here.
next. Yeah. So yeah, then we'll pass the mic to you. I'll run it over to you after I'm done. So first of all, I want to thank you for handing out these flyers here. You know, one of the things in the Star Wars games is that there's a droid store that you go and visit, and now you basically have built that in real life. So it's like, oh, sci-fi came real moment today. My question for you is, first of all, does this use an RL control algorithm, or is it a classical control algorithm?
I believe that so we don't get a peek inside Unitree's firmware, but
Gotcha.
I have beliefs, and I think it's all RL. I think you're right. I think there's a frozen RL model on it that does the control algorithm, and I think they could
Probably some like low parameter RL model or something that's
yeah, and I think that they have a very good one that eventually they'll release more over time. Low parameter, you mean?
like not like one of the billion parameter models or whatever. Like, you know, like not hundreds of billions parameter, you know, LLM or something.
I don't know the scale of it, but yeah, I think that your assessment is.
You think it's RL?
You know more than me on
Okay.
that specific topic right now, but
So one of my other questions is with VLA. So I worked for 4 years at Google on VLA, and we just kept bashing our head into the irreducible error term and the scaling loss. Like those things would never get more reliable than 99%.
Could you explain that to me?
Yeah,
Because
so
you
we
clearly know.
Yeah, so
Veeps more than I
did
do.
a lot of stuff with VLA. So we did all the experiments with like Palm E back in the day and all those models. And if you actually look at the scaling laws of data, so people are like, just put in more data and everything will be better. Put in more compute. There's an irreducible error term. And that irreducible error term in a lot of cases was larger than 10%. So you never actually got a success rate above 90%, no matter how much data you put in. There's evidence that you can now get up to about 99%. But that's still not good enough for a lot of industrial applications where there's a requirement of 100, 1 in 100,000, or worse, the safety critical aspect. If we're doing full RL or end-to-end learn control on these machines, we're going to need to pass 1 in a billion error rate to pass UL certification, I believe, depending on which standards and whatnot. So how do you foresee overcoming those challenges to be able to ship something that can run outside of a cage or unsupervised?
I don't have a great answer for you. You sound like an expert on that, and I would actually like to ask your opinion on that and learn as much as I can from you because.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my answer is going to be switch to classical control. Which is not what you want to hear, but.
This is
I'd
why I
like to
think
hear more of that later, though.
this is why I think we're going to have
different sort of a question. So first, thanks, Annette. Thank you for bringing these brochures. Very useful. So my question is about Toborlife itself. So Unitree probably has hundreds of developers, hundreds of software developers, and they're trying to build a whole product line. You guys are much smaller. I understand the master distributor function. but with a very small development team, how do you plan to differentiate from the stuff that Unitree is going to do anyway? For example, they're probably making a security version of the robot.
So Unitree itself actually doesn't target the secondary application in the way that you just were talking about. They have partners that they collaborate with that we're looking to collaborate with too. And there's not a liberties. I'm navigating this so that I'm true to my company, but giving you the best answer I can. There are different entities offering similar form factor and software targeting those things, and Unitree is aligned with some of them more than others, and they may have different performance levels and different price points, and we're going to navigate that and target providing the best commercial package to the end user. I don't know if that's sufficient on that end.
Are you able to carve out a unique set of functions that Unitree won't do? So they say, we want you to specialize in this function. And then if you do that and do it well, will that then go to other regions around the world besides North America?
We are specifically targeting North America. So in terms of that strategic question, that's my current answer on that. I know that's not incredibly in depth. In terms of special capabilities, I think that one of our strengths will be merging some of these other providers' capabilities in an attractive way, because robotics is such a broad application space. There are features that some of these entities offer that the other doesn't, and we can look to create applications that merge these things and target specific use models. And so that's the strategy that we're pursuing in regards to that. Do I know if it'll be successful and overcome that? I have no idea, but we have to try.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Oh, crowd, huh?
No, smart crowd.
No, all right, I'll ask something. So
Can it carry
for
a
the-
tray and things like that?
What was that?
Can it carry a tray and stuff on it? Like how much pounds can it live?
The payload on the arms together for each, so 8 pounds. I have not integrated any systems that allow us to do that at this point in time, but there has been success doing that with the Unitree platform, specifically on the large humanoid, the H1.
It could carry a beer. Just saying. Hey, so when we talk about humanoid robots, what comes to mind is Boston Dynamics, Atlas, and Tesla's Optimus. There are other Chinese robot manufacturers. Can you think? And there's some other American robot manufacturers also, but there's Agility, Figure AI. But does anything come to mind as like Unitree is a player, Boston Dynamics is a player, Tesla's a player. Who else do you consider to be a player in humanoid robots?
Is this a question for me?
Yes, George. It's a question for Greg.
I see that, in my opinion, and I don't think they've been incredibly clear with their intention. I think that NVIDIA is looking at the viability of pursuing it. I think some of these larger tech companies are looking at the viability. I don't know that they're contenders yet. I think a lot of companies like to dip their toes without being too committal. And I know that NVIDIA has the connections and the hardware to pursue these sort of ideas. So that would be a guess from me. You kind of listed off all the ones that I would have listed.
Well, I didn't consider what you were talking about. That's a good response. Thank you.
Can you guys hear me? Want to ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. So the problem of having, you know, fully autonomous control is one reason that I think that telerobotics is going to be big for a while. Have you guys has there been any work on this robot to support telerobotics?
Yes, there has been.
What kind of features and protocols and integrations and that kind of thing are there?
I'm trying to think of what I'm allowed to say on it. It's nothing that would shock you. It's somebody wearing the motored suit and corresponding motor structure to the robot and performing actions with it on, with an understanding of what the robot can sense, and it wouldn't surprise you, judging by the question you asked. You are likely to have a good, trying to think of a speculative guess at what it is going on. I know that's not a great answer, but I can't super talk about all of what I've encountered in that. But I imagine that your speculation, judging by just asking that question, being aware of that space, is what could you accomplish with that? And what I can tell you is opening doors is hard. That's what I can tell you.
Yeah. Well, what about sensing? What kind of sensors do you support? Like what are built in and what do you support?
So the sensors that are built into the Unitree G1 right now are, there's the D435i with the IMU, depth camera, color, and then there's the planar, or not planar LiDAR, the 360 LiDAR that has a field of view along that scope as well. And so those are the sensors on the G1 without the hands, and then when you incorporate the hands, you can get touch sensors within the hands.
Whose hand is it? Is it you guys? Do you guys have your own hand or?
Unitree has hands now. They are brand new, and they're quite nice in my opinion, coming from a background of seeing a lot of robot hands.
You could offer some sake hands, can't you?
You could put Sake Robotics hands on these things if you want, and you can call me if you want some Sake Robotics hands too, but don't tell my boss I said that.
He's online. Too late.
Based on
Do you have like things like torque sensing measurements for like the arm, shoulders, legs, all that?
Yes, I don't think, I think certainly, and I don't think I've been able to play with it enough yet to tell you the details. It's, I got hired a couple months ago, and so I'm still playing with everything and trying to get a read. But yeah, I can't imagine that they'd make this thing without torque sensors. That's,
Well, it's just a matter of whether they, you know, whether you can subscribe for a feed of that data
yeah,
to,
exactly.
like, you know, position and torque and velocity, that kind of thing.
Yeah, they released some of that. I think they haven't published all of that on, so there's, on these robots, on the development models, there's the NVIDIA chip, or excuse me, the Unitree chip, which you can't access yourself and play around with. It's a black box essentially for a user like us. And then they publish things out of it, such as odometry, positioning, and so on and so forth.
Are you saying Unitree has their own microprocessor?
I don't know what the Unitree processor is exactly, but there's two computers on it. There's the Unitree black box that we can't look into. I'm not sure what the hardware on that is. And then the other one is a Jetson Orin NX, and you guys are all familiar with the Jetson product line, so enough said on that. And that interfaces with the Unitree chip, and the Unitree chip publishes what it publishes, and you can publish back SDK commands, which are high-level commands, or low-level commands
That's only on the educational units, the NVIDIA or Orin board.
Yep.
Well, so if you didn't get that, can you interface your own board through some kind of standard API, or is that the only way to
No.
get the programmability?
You have to get an edu model if you want to program it, but you can use a different computer if you feel like it. You could do your Raspberry Pi or whatever instead of the Jetson or an NX. So,
But you still have to have the educational model to have access to things. Okay.
Yes, you do.
George, which model is this one?
This is the basic. This doesn't have the fun stuff in it. This is the show model. And since we're not developing tonight, I thought it'd be sufficient because we could do the fun things like show its control system and the general hardware. But right now in the office, I'm trying to do a little soldering and get its hands on the EDU model.
Can he do some kung fu moves? No, I didn't say that.
Some more to show you. By the way, we always welcome all of you to check out our showroom. I can't tell you that there's always going to be some bleeding edge new thing I can show you, but you're always welcome there. It's a space that is enjoyable for roboticists who want to see the latest Unitree stuff that we have on display, and I'll be there much of the time. Happy to show you guys what I'm working on.
Where's that at?
It is in Mountain View next to the Costco and at 1088 Independence. Yeah. 1088 Independence Avenue. I think Avenue.
Yeah. That's my old neighborhood. What would be the minimally viable product concept for a domestic humanoid? What could it do in my home?
That's a great question. I ask myself that frequently.
Thank you.
The one that I want the most, there's three things that come to my mind in tasks that are not by any means low-hanging fruit, but they're lower hanging than the other fruit. And the soft body manipulation for folding laundry, I do think is getting closer. It's not here, but it's closer. I want dishes so bad. Everybody wants dishes. Raise your hand if you want dishes. It's me. We all want dishes. And we want to take out the trash. And those are the three things that need to be first. I think everybody sees that. And maybe there's another thing I'm overlooking. Cooking, right? Cooking's probably also there. And what do you need for these things? Well, with the trash for my home, you'd need some stairs. So we got to figure that out. We got to do the manipulation for the laundry, soft body manipulation. There's a lot of manipulation that needs to happen. I can't give you a firm timeline on that, and I don't think most people could. But those are the things that I see as what has to be the first 3 or 4 action items on that. I don't see what comes before those. Maybe vacuuming, but we have Roombas, so at this point, it's got to be those 4 or something close to those. If you guys have another idea, please tell me.
I don't see loading and unloading the dishwasher as low-hanging fruit.
I don't see the dishwasher as low-hanging fruit too, but I don't see it as I see it similar to those other things that I listed in difficulty. When I said what they were, I specifically said not low-hanging fruit, the lowest of the hanging fruit, which is very different. I know all of this is extremely challenging. Yeah, no doubt, all of this is very hard, and I don't have a great prediction for you of which of those 4 things is the easiest. Maybe the garbage and recycling, but I don't think so. That's really hard too, so I'm not sure.
Well, you have to crack open and close doors before.
Yeah, the door thing sucks. I've played with it on Teleop. I can't make a robot open a door, so like, you know, that's going to take some time, but it's hard. You're like, And what you don't realize about the doors is when you do this, you don't just stand in place and like open the door all the way. You have to like move your body with it. And these things come so naturally to us. It's all very challenging. But
Hey,
those are, you asked what
you
the
have to
things
talk
were.
to Tony, who's there. He's figured it out.
Who's Tony?
Tony Praknakis,
You figured this out?
how to open doors.
Yeah, so we did this at Stanford a while ago, like 2013.
How'd you do it?
Can you give Tony a microphone, please?
Yeah, I just want to hear from you at this point.
So the approach that works is first thing you realize about doors is that they all actually have a structure to them. They have a fixed depth, right? They have a fixed length and they have a handle, right? So there's actually not that many door characteristics. So doing classical approach, people say like, oh, classical doesn't generalize, but it's actually possible to generalize within a space with classical, and you can get every door. I mean, if you really want to, you go through every single model of door at Home Depot and see if you could generalize to all of them, right? And we did that at Willow Garage. We bought two of everything at IKEA and made sure we could pick up every one of them. And we bought two because we spray painted the transparent ones. So we wanted to have the spray painted one and the transparent one, because reasons. But anyway, what you do is you calculate your door. So it's also more difficult if you're opening a spring-loaded door. So we did the spring-loaded doors. So the way we did it is so on the way out, the previous doors, a lot of them, you just push them open. And you got to hit the bar. So you just back the robot up to the bar, out it goes. On the way in, you do that. The key is detecting the handle. You can definitely recognize the handles relatively easily. There's tons of techniques for recognizing the handles. We used mechanical alignment. So you just light your hand across the door until you hit the handle. It's just the only thing protruding. Grab it, and there's a scripted algorithm to just do it. And you can have scripted motion because, well, doors are fixed and you can only open them so many ways. So that's how we did it. And the key limitation is, of course, the force exerted by the door relative to the robot. So the ones we were opening are these really heavy doors. It's actually hard for people to open. You can actually watch people. They usually have to struggle 2 or 3 times to figure out how to open the doors the first time. So they were right on the edge of what the robot could actually do in terms of and we had to use a full body weight of the robot to torque the doors. So you have to figure that out, but it's totally doable to open doors for robots.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. As for the humanoid, what I would do is, as always, every time you try to do a task with the robot, you teleop it first. Well, first, you do it yourself to make sure it can be done by a human, and then you teleop the robot.
I put a demo in the chat from a machine that I made a long time ago that was teleoperated to open a refrigerator door and get me a beer. And it's not easy to open a refrigerator door.
I'll just add, for humanoids, the LLM is necessary because you have to tell it, don't let the door hit you behind. So
My name is Raphael. I study history and I know quite a bit about science fiction. And there were certain questions related to this particular robot, which I believe is from China, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what I believe that it has special protocol, which you say it's closed, we don't know about it, so that Chinese Communist Party can press a red button and this robot goes and kills somebody, or it's first part of Chinese military to invade United States in this trade war that we are having it on right now. And the last question, is this robot member of a Chinese Communist Party?
I hope not.
It's actually just recorded your voice. Send it back. You're in the database.
Those are things you got to think about.
So,
Getting into China now.
Settle down, Raphael, settle down.
You're getting excited again. Oh, man.
All right. Any other questions for George?
When are you going to see it do robotic gymnastics?
When the lawyers get involved.
Isn't there a boxing match coming up?
I've heard of that, and I am
It's
very
supposed to be a
excited for that.
boxing match with the G1s. They're using them actually as trainers now for boxing. Raphael, that may
Damn.
be to your point.
Real steel.
I had a LinkedIn comment that I made that nobody appreciated, and now that I have a captive audience, it's my time to shine. I'm a huge fan of MMA, and people were debating how these robot fights would go. And somebody said that this robot would get this other robot, the G1, in an armbar. And I immediately, as somebody who's familiar with the range of motion of the G1 and how armbars work, was like, that is not what's going to happen because the G1's elbow bends backwards. And so the armbar is actually ineffective. And so I just want to share that with you guys. In terms of robot MMA, the armbar is not going to be what it is for humans.
I've got in the chat here a link for Tony Pratt-Canis's coffee run, his infamous coffee run. What I did as a summer intern, I think it was, or something. Any more questions
A
for
question
George?
about applications.
Shoot.
What about the market for companion robots, either for the elderly or for watching young kids? Is that something that this would fit?
So with the young kids, I'm a little afraid of them pinching their fingers in the joints. And we've had people actually come to us about those. And personally, what my decision was, if you guys have heard of how Steve Jobs chose the glass versus the plastic screen, and the story goes, he chose the glass screen over the plastic screen because when you have the plastic screen in your pocket and a coin scrapes it, it's the phone's fault for being scraped because coins sit in pockets with your phone. And if you have a glass screen, the coin won't scrape it, but you drop it on the ground and it shatters. And it's your fault because you dropped the phone. If we put these robots with kids in their environment and they pinch themselves, then it's our fault because that's what happens when you put things around kids. But when you have a robot around adults and they hurt themselves, it's just like, okay, you dropped the phone and it shattered, no crap. So that's my perspective on putting them with kids in the short term, is I don't think the safety is there for them. The elderly, on the other hand, I'm not actually entirely sure what would be a problem with having them in that same facet as the kids. So I think that's different. I think that in terms of being a companion, I'm not sure if you mean by also like doing those household tasks that we talked about. I think those come when they come. But in terms of like keeping company or like maybe some sort of surveillance capabilities, but with a touch of personality and warmth, I can see that being viable.
Well, more like a personal assistant or like an Alexa device, but that's mobile, or just entertaining people or playing music for them or making phone calls for them.
I think that's great. I think that's totally
Not something you're
achievable.
focused on, though.
No, we should be. I think that you highlighted something I haven't heard of before, and I think that I'll bring that up as soon as I can because I really like that.
Can I get 10%?
I think that's totally reasonable. We need to know. I don't have a background knowing what service animals need to do, but provided we could figure out what range of capabilities would make them effective, yeah, that'd be a really cool place to target. I like that idea.
I can quickly expand on this point. I spent a couple months in an incubator in downtown working on social companionship with humanoids and other morphologies. We found the biggest barriers were trust factor and safety. Safety we've already covered, but trust and the friction associated with not trusting something to begin with is quite difficult. It's difficult for my generation, but for the elderly generation who never grew up with technology, it becomes a complete communication breakdown. They don't know how to interact with this thing, how to interpret its responses, and they don't recognize that it doesn't think like a human does. And that fundamental misalignment was where we just found every group that we worked with just had a complete allergic reaction to being in the room with these things for longer than a couple minutes.
We do see new companionship robot companies at Maker Faire every year. Every year, a new company.
I think seeing the business case is just it just keeps breaking down, because even if groups want to do a trial on it, they'll immediately find that this is not something that's sustainable long term, and certainly not something that care homes are interested in buying in mass.
Japanese are very advanced in this specialty because of aging population, and they don't use humanoid type of robots. Sometimes they have little fuzzy things.
Correct. Yes.
On the tables to remind them about certain things.
The closest analogy to something which does work is for youth education. You'll see there's these fuzzy, almost stuffed animal type robots that have very basic capabilities, language capabilities, but they interact more with audio and visual effects. And these are more stimulative to the youth as well as seniors. And so the closest we've gotten to having true social companionship is not actually through complete dialogue, but more through limited interaction.
It also serves that level of expectations too. If you have a robot that looks like a human, you expect it to be able to have capabilities of a human, but if it looks like a doll, looks like a toy, you don't have as high of expectations. You allow for it to make mistakes.
Absolutely. Another question. Obviously, last couple of years, everyone's been super excited around the software development that we can do on these. But Figure, which is one of the more interesting companies in the humanoid space, is very vocal about the importance of a strong electrical and mechanical platform. And they're very vocal about their sort of hardware maturity. How would you characterize Unitree's hardware platform trajectory? How do you see the price of these coming to a point where they're in line with the value proposition?
So that's an interesting question because when you look at Figure AI, in my opinion, they're further away from the like cost to value proposition of their physical robot. That said, right now, if you're going to get a robot, a piece of it has to be because you want to get a robot. They don't currently, outside of the security application, which obviously that's the thing people are targeting. I don't remember who mentioned that. Yes, but there's a reason that's being targeted. That's where you can actually create a value proposition that's worth getting the robot and for a corporate reason, or business reason rather. In terms of the hardware proposition with Unitree, I think that's actually why it's the best. It's the best of the humanoid quadruped companies because it has the best hardware proposition right now. And so that's why a lot of research companies come to us before they ever come to somebody in those spaces. Also because the people in Figure and Tesla and Boston Dynamics, they do their own development on top of their software. And so if you're going to end up with one of those platforms, you want that. I think Unitree purposefully left it a little open-ended because they want people to develop on their platform. They don't want to take that away from the people. And so their value proposition is, hey, we're not going to take away the opportunity to develop on this. So we're going to sell all these developers these so that they can make something that they actually get a benefit out of. If you buy a Boston Dynamics robot, you can't develop on it because they're going to do better than you. And so I think that's part of why Unitree is an attractive company.
Sure.
It's not open source, like Linux.
What do you mean?
It's like Microsoft. You cannot do certain things.
You can't do certain things, but you can do a lot of other things, and they do allow you to develop. You're itching to say something, and I'm ready.
Yeah, just remember that the CEO of Figure's previous companies have been under investigation. Well, not government investigation, but a lot of people are convinced that they use edited videos to promote the products.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and one of the other things about Figure that I find very sketchy is that they never show the robots just out working. Like Agility or Unitree is very happy to just go to trade shows and show off the robots. I think, yeah.
This is not actually true. I've been to the Figure headquarters a couple times. They've got robots walking the floors.
Okay.
And they've actually got them picking things off of desks. And in their demo chamber, they're actually demonstrating live a lot of really interesting things.
Oh, cool.
So I actually find Figure's whole thesis, right, stems from their confidence in their hardware platform. So the reason, this question came up in the first place is, like, what do you see as sort of the next advancement in the Unitree lineup for its hardware? Is it on the sensing front? Is it on the actuation front? Is there something that's evolving in real time that we can see sort of more akin to the rate of software development? Do we expect something new to show up as the next Unitree platform?
That's a great question. I'm gonna think on that for a couple seconds.
I also think that with Unitree and other companies, there's a lot of other companies in China besides Unitree making these things. I just think that anything that gets created, that it's going to be deep. It's basically like DeepSeek, like, it gets created here and then, 6 months later,
Hyper optimized and undercut
hyper optimized for half the price. So have fun, folks. Yeah.
Thought of a use case. Yeah.
You seen the movie? It's traffic.
Yeah, except the footprint sounds like this. You'll never hear it coming.
They've got
The
they've
newer
got.
firmware sounds better on the step, by the way. That was
I
more
was going
for
to say
purposes,
he
but
walks smoother now.
No more cloppity clop.
We had fun in Atlanta. We were in the 9th floor of the Hyatt Place, and we clumped into the elevator and down to the lobby, and we freaked them out. There's this family coming in the hotel, and we had the humanoid out there waving to them. It was awesome.
When you can freak them out.
It
you
is
had asked
scary.
though about what I see coming. Help me rephrase your question for me. You had a very interesting question, and
About the hardware platform.
yeah, where do I see the hardware platform going?
Yeah, there's a lot of interest around where we can take things by using newfangled AI software approaches, but all of them fall flat if you have a incomplete or a sub-optimized hardware platform to begin with. That's the electrical mechanical, not including compute. So the question really just is, where do you see the most development ongoing on the hardware platform front? And do you think we can expect to see humanoids with significantly superior hardware capabilities in the future?
I think over time there will be advancements in hardware. I'm not sure at what rate there will be. I think the increased amount of sensors and sensor data is very interesting. I know that while we have amazing classical resources, as I've been informed, that need to be explored thoroughly. And no, I'm there with you. Even still, I think it is reasonable to presume that there is a big future in robotics also for methods like reinforcement learning. And the more inputs you can get that have accurate sensors, such as touch sensors, I do believe that develops your ability to manipulate things using those methodologies. So I think sensors is a big one. One of the fun ones that I really like is they put wheels on a lot of these things. I like that. That's an answer in its own. I think mobility gets improved with that, and I think over time they're going to be able to like climb stairs and stuff with a wheeled robot, and so that's something that can make a quadruped and a humanoid more attractive than maybe just a differential drive mobile robot. I think that climbing stairs is really cool with wheels. When they figure that out, I think that's interesting. I think that's neat.
At Maker Faire, they had a skating six-legged, robot, which was kind of cool.
That sounds really cool.
So they already have a 2 model and an H1 model, right? So are they hardware wise different? I think to answer his
The
question.
H1 versus the G1. I've never seen an H1 robot in person. They're 6 foot, 200 pounds, which I really want to see because that sounds sci-fi. This is
Labs, but it was like powered down. I don't think the H1s are really all that great at like walking around.
They're really, really funky.
Yeah,
It-
really
it-
funky. They're like flunky kind of prototypes compared to
And
this
it's small it's the small form factor that has really gained popularity.
It's definitely worse hardware.
Yeah, it's an alpha version.
Their like torque mappings are very similar to this, even though their form factor expects them to be 2x, 3x.
But not better motors,
No.
flexible body.
And certainly not for 20 grand. No.
Well, there are people that are concerned about the robot falling on you, especially with something like the Atlas.
It hurts. I've had this guy step on my toes. You guys could tell I'm a barefoot kind of guy. And when he steps on your toe, you remember him stepping on your toe.
Imagine a 200-pound
You wouldn't have a toe.
So how much does it weigh?
This is 85 pounds as a aluminum frame on the inside, so it's got some good durability. I know these panels show wear, but the actual like frame of it's very sturdy. And 85 pounds. So when I have to put him away myself, I'm always like, because he doesn't get in the box himself
They
yet.
need to have him pack himself up and unpack himself.
Camp knows.
Let me tell you.
So the foot has no sensor, right? No soft touch sensor. It doesn't know it stepped on you.
It does on the dog. It might have one in here, but I haven't been able to
As
access
good
it.
as a tactile or something. It doesn't know, right? It steps. It's not a pressure sensor.
Yeah. So what was the other sensor you were talking about?
No, like touch sensors will be more. They will know much faster, right? That's stepping on somebody versus a pressure one.
Yeah.
It will actually try to step on you and then like, yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing about these models is they have, I think it's called like a stomp algorithm, which is how it balances. And so while it's finding its balance, it's probably going to prioritize not falling over versus your toes, which,
yeah. I mean, it's ready to crush something to stand.
yeah.
Is it capable of aborting mid-step? It's a very complicated balance problem if you're going to make it able to abort mid-step.
This one isn't.
Okay.
Again, development on top of this, eventually maybe we could do something like that, but no, not at all. No, it'll step through your foot.
Keep going.
Yeah, it'll step until it's happy.
Yep.
Can it walk on a sandy beach or anything like that?
Not sandy beach. Also, that'd just be terrible to clean.
No. Don't put it on soft, thick carpet.
Yeah, I wouldn't even recommend it on like a thick shag rug right now. I think algorithms are going to overcome that over time. And if the floor is like really slippery, I wouldn't shoot for that either. But it has a pretty generous array of surfaces that it's comfortable with.
Slopes, ramps.
That's in the latest firmware, they're supposed to get some stuff for that. I know the dogs have gotten quite good at various diverse surfaces. And what's nice about Unitree is they do have the quadrupeds out, and they kind of have things on the quadrupeds before they have them on the humanoid, so you can see like what they're shooting for. So they are shooting for diverse terrain, and there are videos of it running across. I haven't been able to do this, so it slipped my mind for a bit, but they have a new video where there's like really jagged rocks and it's like sprinting across them in a way that with shoes on would make you wince. Like even if you're like in fit shape and everything, it's running across these rocks like it doesn't get bothered by them. And so there is really impressive movement capabilities that they haven't fully or even too much partially let us into yet on these, but they're aiming in that direction. I still think the sand in particular, I wouldn't steer towards that for reasons that aren't entirely step based, but
so it looks like it is focusing on staying balanced and moving, not really sensing the surfaces being different. Right. So it's able to do the rocks because it knows it can still stomp on them and balance itself off.
That makes sense to me. I don't know exactly how they're doing it, but your take seems really reasonable.
What about microphone and speaker?
They're in there, and if I had it up and running, I would show you the whole LLM thing. Their LLM's interesting. You say like, hey, Ben. They like to call all of their robotic units Ben. Like your Alexa is Alexa, Siri is Siri, and Ben is Ben. This guy has a Ben. And it can give them simple commands like move forward or wave or things like that. But it does have microphone in it and speaker, the other one. So yes, it does have those features.
So I don't want to hog too much time. Out of the box, right? The audio, what can it do? Can it do multiple commands like go there and turn left or something like that? Or is it like one command at a time?
I think it's one command at a time. There's no command queuing that I haven't tried it yet. So maybe there is. So I don't want to say no, definitely, but I don't think that's there yet.
But on here you could schedule a task, is it? On the, or you're still
You can't schedule anything on this.
so there's no programming of show once and then it follow the
No, that's like secondary. I want to work on that when I have time. I personally love working with fleet management systems and like queue stuff like that, but we haven't been able to get to that yet.
But is that input interface open or that's also not open?
The controller?
Yeah.
You can like, I think you can program it to a degree. I don't think it's
No,
like,
no API. I can't replace the controller with something else to send the commands or anything like that.
I don't have a good answer for that. But there are interfaces that you can connect to this and send signals across. It's like, imagine you have a Linux computer, you have a Jetson or an NX, you could hook up whatever you want to that, and then that could pass it along.
That's not the basic, right?
That's not the basic. That is very much not the basic. You're correct. So on the basic, no. On the EDU, you could develop in the realm of, yeah.
Okay. Any more questions?
I get paid by the question, guys, so get a couple more in.
This was awesome. Thank you very much, George.
I had a great time getting to show this off to you guys, and I'd love to hear more from all of you, and I hope you guys come and check out our showroom. This is just a wonderful community. When I was younger, I've been here before with you guys. I don't know about all you guys, but my dad took me here before he started really getting into robotics much, and I was like 16 and I didn't appreciate it as much as I should have. But it's awesome to get to re-interface with this community, and it's always fun. Is camp up there? Camp isn't up
Yeah,
there.
I think I remember. I think I remember you. Gosh, it must have been 20 years ago or something. And your dad was here with Saki robots, cheap grippers, I think he called them, and selling the grippers in Japan, right?
We still do.
Yeah.
So.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Well, onward and forward. So we will settle for nothing less than total world domination, right?
That's what we're here for.
All right. So without any further ado, I'd like to motion that we close this meeting, April 2025 at Homebrew Robotics Club. Do I have a second?
Man.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those not in favor, say aye. Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Cam. Thank you so much.
We had fun and nobody got hurt.
Oh.
Some closing fireworks.
There we go.
Yeah, experiment.
Oh, can we do